Hope you're well. Hope you had a decent start to your week, at least, following what was yet another humiliation at London Stadium at the weekend. Bitterly disappointing, humiliating, frustrating, and it just feels like we are in crisis. Feels like we are a club seriously in crisis now. That is 4 Premier League games, 3 defeats, and out of 5 games this season, 4 defeats. And this is now not only defeats; these are heavy defeats that have come now. That's our third heavy defeat: 3-0 at Sunderland, 5-1 at Chelsea, and now 3-0 to Spurs. And all following in the same manner. I want to talk about that. Talk about Graham Potter and the situation with him at the moment. Before I do, though, I do have a little bit of good news. Well, when I say good news, not really for all of us, just for one person. Jordan Harrison. Jordan Harrison, you are the winner of our game at the weekend. You took part in the BETMATE competition with the fantasy team. So congratulations, you've won £20, which will be in your BETMATE account, which is fabulous. So go free to start spending that on BETMATE. BETMATE's really good, by the way, really worth. Go and check it out. I've got the link in the description below. And I know people will say, well, you're going to say that, but seriously, it's really good. I got it, and I test these things out right before I work with people because I think that's the right thing to do. You should use it, understand it, see if you like it, and then you say, yeah, okay, I'm happy to work with you. And I've got to admit, I really liked it, and so much so I use it all the time now. I literally, like, it's a really good, fun way of having a bit of a flutter. But there's just so many different ways of playing. It's really worth a go, and I'll talk about it a bit more in another video in a bit more detail. I'm a bit more prepared. I've sort of just gone off the cuff here a little bit, but just go and check it out. Seriously, BETMATE. But seriously, Jordan Harrison, fair play to you, mate. Well done. 20 quid plus you win the hoodie from Iron Fred. So what I need you to do, Jordan, is on the comments here. Well, actually, no, don't. You haven't got to do a comment. Just drop us an email, actually. admin@thewesthamway.com. Drop me an email, admin@thewesthamway.com. Drop me an email and then let me know your sizes and all that kind of stuff, and I'll send it over to you in the post. So, yeah, congratulations, mate. And obviously, there was quite a few other winners. Basically, those are cash prizes. I don't know if you can see this on my screen. I've got the old green screen on, so you probably can't see it. But basically, we had 13 people take part, and everyone won some money. Even bottom of the table, you still got 3 quid going into your BETMATE account. So we'll be doing another one of those. So I'll keep you posted with those. But yeah, definitely worth a go. Well done, though, mate. And that's not a bad little prize. And I'm hoping that's at least cheered you up in this rather crappy time as a West Ham fan. So I want to try and avoid talking about the board, to be honest, in this video a little bit. I appreciate it's a big talking point. I feel I've talked about it so much recently. Obviously, we've got the protest coming up for the Crystal Palace game. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately. As much as I really want to be there, I'm not going to be at the game. I can't make it, so I'm away. So, my missus is away, so I've got to look after the kids, so I'm not available. So that's a real shame in a way, because I'm really looking forward to that and wanting to be part of the protest. But I'll be certainly talking about that more in the week, okay? Not me not being there. I know that's not the most exciting topic. More about the protest and everything else, and the board and stuff like that. But I want to sort of focus really on the team and the manager here. I think that's the right subject in regards to the Spurs game, because as much as there is a lot of anger around the club at the moment, believe me, and we all know it, there is a lot of anger towards that board, and so there bloody well should be. I don't think we can sort of say, well, that's the reason why we lost to Spurs. I don't feel that is. Although I feel like it some way plays a part, because it's that overbearing shadow, isn't it, over the club at the moment, that cloud that hangs over West Ham, the ownership and the disconnect that we have with the owners. And it's so, the divide is so big, and the anger is there. And I feel that is a factor. I feel like that is why we're seeing these performances, particularly at home. I think at home we just seem to really struggle. But that being said, I don't want to just go, well, the reason we lost to Spurs is because of David Sullivan. I don't think that's the right, that's not right. I want to talk about Graham Potter, the players, everything else. Obviously, Graham Potter's the big subject here, because he's quite rightly the one under pressure. He's the manager. He's the one that's going to be in the spotlight, and that's football. That's the nature of the beast, isn't it? I'm unfortunately with Graham Potter now. At the end of the day, this is a results business, and it's just what we're getting is shocking. In terms of results and what we're getting from him, it's not good enough. It just is not good enough. And what we're also seeing is this now new sort of repercussion, I suppose, from what we're getting from Potter and his setup. It's new to this season, because last season last season, I said this before, that I felt we were competitive pretty much in every game under Potter. Although we weren't great, I'm not going to sit here and go, God, we played some great football. We didn't. But I always felt we were competitive. And I've talked about this quite a few times last season. That's what gave me a lot of hope for this season, was because when Potter came in, the first thing he did, and it was immediate, was sort our defence out. We looked so more organised, so better organised. We looked, the players seemed to understand their positions better, their roles and responsibilities. And that just gave me hope that once we have a full pre-season under a belt under Potter, get the right players in that want to work within his system, we're going to see a far better organised team. I wasn't expecting, the world and we're going to be challenging for bloody Champions League or anything like that, but I was expecting a better and more solid, rounded team. I appreciate, of course, with new faces and stuff, there is that sort of bedding in period that you're going to get. But that being said, it's still, we're not seeing, what we're seeing at the moment is alarming. It's worse than last season, quite considerably worse, because now we are, not only are we not very good in terms of a full game, but now we are getting battered. This is something that we were seeing under Lopetegui. This was something we were seeing at the end of David Moyes. This is nothing new at West Ham, but this is what Graham Potter really started to address, I felt, was to stop us getting hammered like that. And now it's just a running theme. We saw it at Sunderland. Where we've got to be honest, pretty much identical to what we had against Spurs. First half, all right, pretty good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't skipping off at half-time, the half-time whistle going, God, this is fabulous. But I felt we'd go and win that game. I thought we were going to beat Spurs the second half. I thought that we had enough on the bench about us to go and beat Spurs. And I felt that very much at Sunderland. For half-time Sunderland, I thought we'll win this now. We'll bring on a couple of players. We'll up the ante a little bit. We'll dial up the pressure a little bit, and we'll go and win that game. And it was, once again, well, when I say once again, at that point, it was the first time, wasn't it, against Sunderland, where we just completely capitulated. They get that one goal, bang, and we just collapse. The whole team collapses. We saw it against Chelsea, where, again, went 1-0 up. They equalised. Okay, we had a goal disallowed, but our heads were gone. It's almost like this team cannot cope going for, conceding a goal. We just don't know how to respond to it. And then we go and do it against Tottenham. As I say, half-time against Spurs, I felt that was, at that point, at half-time, that was the time you take off Thomas Souček, bring on Callum Wilson as your main striker and drop Paqueta back into the number 10. And then maybe possibly bring on Magassa for Ward-Prowse. And I was even thinking about possibly bringing Wan-Bissaka on as well, just to freshen things up a little bit. I don't know what this is with this modern day of football now, where managers seem loath to making changes at half-time. I don't know why we just don't do it. Why have we always got to wait until the 60-minute mark? Where has this come from? Anyway, he didn't make the changes, and then we go 1-0 down. I'm not saying we went 1-0 down because he didn't make the changes, but we concede a goal badly. A terrible, terrible marking. I mean, this zonal marking now that we've adopted for corners is shocking. Hermansen looks horrendous at crosses. He just looks all over the place, looks terrified to deal with them, which is worrying, to say the very least. And we concede. And then we concede, and once again, much like against Sunderland and much like against Chelsea, we completely capitulate. We collapse. And it's not down to that, because Potter's trying to lean on the fact that it was down to the fact we got the sending off. I'm going to come to Potter, by the way, what you said about the ball in a minute. I know that the thumbnail suggests that. I'm going to come to that in a sec. But we capitulated. We completely capitulate. And it's not to do with other things going around it. We were collapsing before Souček got sent off. You can just see it. You can see it. I've said it so many times. I hate saying it. I hate bloody saying this about Jarrod Bowen, because I love Jarrod Bowen. He's our best player, and I could not be prouder to have him at West Ham. But I tell you what, this lack of leadership on the pitch is so evident. We see it all the time. This constant lack of leadership. The heads go. There's no rallying of the troops. There's no geeing up. There's no getting everybody together. There's nothing from Graham Potter. He just seems to just sit there with his hands. I'm just tired of this lack of fight, lack of desire, this lack of grit. Why has it always got to be waving the white flag a second the team goes ahead? And we saw it again, and it's worrying. And that's with Potter. That's with Potter and these players. Where's the leadership on this pitch, by the way? You know what I mean? We've got supposedly a captain in Jarrod Bowen. They keep talking about this leadership he's got, his brilliant leadership qualities. Oh, he's a brilliant leader. And I don't ever see it. And I really don't want to have a go at Bowen, and I'm not, because in terms of him as a person, because he is a fabulous footballer, our best player, and I love him, and I never want him to leave West Ham. I want to see his career out at West Ham 100%, all right? But I don't see it. I do not see leadership. You know, James Ward-Prowse, all right, the fact he's still on the pitch is frustrating enough, but he's a captain at bloody Southampton for God knows how many years. Where's his leadership? You got Max Kilman, who's bloody Matt Upson in disguise. He is. You know what I mean? Where's his leadership? Where's his drive? Where's he getting everybody together? I mean, that's 3 players there out of the 11. You could say, well, they're supposed to be captains. Why aren't they getting them together? When we went 1-0 down against Spurs, right? And well, I'll tell you what, let's go further forward. 1-0 down and Souček gets sent off, right? Why aren't they saying, right, do you know what, right, lads, we've just got to shut up shop now. We've got to defend and play counter-attack football. That's how we're going to get back. We do not concede any more goals. Do not concede any more, and we can catch them on the counter. That's how we're going to get back in this game. I don't see anything like that on that pitch. I just see heads down and, business as usual kind of thing. And almost just like an acceptance of defeat. Yeah, very, very angry. As you can tell from this, I'm like we all are. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say it's just me. It's really, really poor. Very, very disappointed. And it just feels like we are heading in one direction, I think, with Graham Potter. I feel like the writing's on the wall with him. So he's come out now and effectively put the blame on the club a little bit here. Basically by saying in the post-match interview that we don't have the resources of the top clubs. We don't have the infrastructure he was leaning towards, which is a dig at the ball. Let's get that right. He knows what he's saying. Without, publicly saying they're useless and they're not doing their job right, that's what he's saying. We haven't got what they've got. And let's be honest, we should have. And I know that, all right, we might not have the capability to have £1 billion stadium at the moment and all that kind of hundreds of millions of pounds spent here and everywhere on infrastructure, but we should not be in a situation where we've got a stadium in this state and we've got a training facility that's basically, League One standard at best, and an owner that's 78 years old, whether he is 76 years old, and he's calling all the shots and he's the one picking players and getting involved in all transfers. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. I just feel the writing was on the wall with Potter now. I feel like that's where we're heading. I didn't think we would be. I don't think he's going to get sacked anytime like now. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think that the next international break is massive. I think the next 3 games are massive for him. I think he needs to get points now. I think if we go into those games, let's say we get another point between now and the next international break, I think he's got to be sacked. I don't think he's got anywhere to hide either, Potter. I mean, I've defended him enough. And I've got to be honest, personally, I'll be really gutted because I really wanted this to work out. I'm exhausted with this. I'm exhausted going from manager to manager. It's not good. You know what I mean? It's not a good sign to keep, people saying, oh, we want to sack Potter. Let's go and sack Potter. Great, but it's not a good sign. We don't want to keep sacking managers. Obviously, Nuno being heavily linked, so Jose Mourinho. I don't see Mourinho happening, to be honest, as much as I would just love to see it, just for the fact that I just think he would bring some wild energy to West Ham, and it would probably be a crazy 12 to 18 months, but it's only going to be short term with Jose Mourinho, and it's always, him and Sullivan, it's just never going to work, is it? Let's be honest, it's got just disaster written all over it. As much as I think a lot of fans would kind of just enjoy possibly the drama of it all, because it's got a huge West Ham feel about it, hasn't it? Jose Mourinho, West Ham's always had an amazing feel about it. If he came to West Ham, can you imagine him giving it the irons and giving it banging the chest and going up to the fans and stuff? You just know that he would have a really big connection with West Ham very, very quickly, and I think it would really invigorate the club actually in terms of the fans and everyone. I do. I know people you can comment on this and say I'm completely bonkers, but I do think it would definitely lift the spirits of West Ham having Mourinho, someone like that. But I just don't see it. Yeah, when you actually think of the facts of it, Mourinho and Sullivan, can you imagine having to deal with him? I just don't see it long term. They're talking about Nuno as being now the most likely. I think he's the favourite for the job at the moment. I'm not sure yet. I don't know. To be honest with you, I've not quite invested my mind yet in Potter going, even though I feel like now the writing's on the wall. So I need to start thinking in that mindset. The problem is at West Ham, isn't it, is that regardless of the manager, you've still got to deal with the owner. So it almost feels like, well, so what? Do you know what I mean? Like I've just said it. Like, oh, Mourinho would be brilliant, but he's got to deal with Sullivan. And then when people say, oh, yeah, what about Nuno? Wouldn't he be a great fit? I mean, he's done fabulous at Forest. Look how well he's done. Obviously, did very well at Wolves, and he'd be great for West Ham. Possibly, yeah. But you've got to work with Sullivan. You've got to work with Brady. It's the same shite. It's nothing changes. It's not good. Not good. But I feel like with Potter's comments and the fact that we know that Potter wasn't really wanted by Sullivan, it just feels like it's heading in one direction, doesn't it? It really does. And it's got to happen soon as well, because I know it's still early on the season, we're 4 games in, but we're 3 defeats in out of 4 in the Premier League, 4 in 5 in all competitions, and they're hammerings as well in there. Hammerings. I mean, and humiliations. We've been hammered by Chelsea and Spurs now opening 2 home games. Hammered. We're -7 on goals and London derbies at home in 2 games. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, so I just want to share my thoughts on that at the moment. All right, we've got ex-WHU employee doing an update as I record this, in about 2 hours' time. So there will be news in regards to the manager's position. We'll find out a little bit more. I say my understanding is he's safe for now, but obviously there are concerns. These are the patterns we always get. So I'm not really. I kind of just feel like it's not really worth going too much into it. They're not going to sack Potter today. But I can't imagine that these. The thing is, because the pressure's on the board now, from the media, from the fans, everything else, Potter failing gives them a bit of a get out, because they can turn around and say, "Well, it's his fault. This is the reason we're in trouble. It's him," and it gives them an opportunity. So if they sack him, it's almost like we're sorting with this out. So that's also probably not helping Potter's situation, to be honest. In terms of, not saying results, but I meant in terms of his long-term prospects at the club now. They probably will be thinking, well, if we get rid of him, at least it shows we're doing something, I haven't, as I said, I haven't given enough thought to Nuno yet. I know, look, in the day, he did fabulous at Nottingham Forest, and if he came in and revived this squad and got us playing, I'm all for it. Of course I am. But my concern is that it just feels like whoever we bring in are always going to struggle at West Ham. West Ham is a fucking hard gig. Let's get it right. In football, this is a really hard gig. There are tough jobs out there, Man United being one. There's a few tough clubs to go and work for. Obviously, Forest feels like a tough environment with that owner. But West Ham's got to be right up there. Do you know what I mean? You've got to work in a really tough environment. You've got fans that are very demanding. We want good football. Which is right, by the way. We want decent football. We want to see a team that's progressing and want to kick on, right? And we let our feelings known. But you've got an ownership that are horrendous. You've got a stadium that's not fit for football. You've got a training facility that's dog shit. You know what I mean? You've got meddling owners continually leaking news, leaking bits and pieces. And look, people will say, hang on a minute, you work for the West Ham way and talk about stuff. It's not always come from the club. But yeah, I agree. But you get my point. It's not an easy environment. So it's hard to sometimes get all excited now about change, because it feels like we've had so much change and nothing ever seems to bloody happen. So forgive me for not getting too excited about it. Look, I'm going to stop moaning. I'm going to try to keep my chin up, and I think we all should. Palace, obviously, massive game now at the weekend. Protests are going to be more fierce than ever. Another London derby. So, Christ mighty, do we need a result? My God, does Potter need a result? It feels a bit make or break, that one, for him. I think if we lose to Palace, I think he's in big, big trouble. But look, I'll do a video on the back of X's update. It might be a little bit later. It'll probably be tomorrow morning. We'll talk about a few things, and I'll do another proper detailed one tomorrow on really where we are, and then we can start switching our attention to the protests and everything else. But look, have a good one. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. And as I say, congratulations to Jordan. As I say, drop us an email, matey, admin@thewesthamway.com, and to get your hoodie sorted out. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'll catch you soon. Come on your ones.